Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, I'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 8 of the anime series, Hitsugi no Chaika. And I have to say, I thoroughly enjoyed this episode, not least of which because of its intriguing bookends, but more on those in a moment. The main crux of this episode, of course, sees Chaika, Toru, Akari, and Frederica continuing their journeys, and basically running headlong into the so-called Neo-Gaz Empire. What amounts to a group of bandits just trying to pretend that there's some, level of royalty, or they're trying to reform a level of royalty under the guidance of an, air quotes, Princess Chaika. And of course, as soon as we're debuted to this blonde character, I knew immediately this was not one of the Chaikas that are out there, because she didn't have the same broken way of speaking as Chaika proper, as well as Chaika the Red that we've seen previously. And it just seemed like something was amiss with the whole situation. Of course, as we find out through the course of the episode, these are bandits, and they're just trying to steal people's goods to have wealth for themselves and everything like that. But I absolutely love that from the get-go they're taking this seriously and going to the extent of pretending to be traveling showmen and actually putting on a sort of impromptu show. We get to see Akari, balancing an apple, and then Toru throwing knives at Chaika with the apple on top of her head, which was absolutely hilarious. Of course, the best part, the most delightful part, was them dancing around and then transforming the cat into the dragoon head and everything like that, not explaining later how they did that. Just absolutely hilarious. And of course, one of the people in this troupe actually does recognize Chaika from wanted posters, but then of course he forgets because of seeing that dragoon head. And then later he remembers when, they're going to basically put the jump on Toru and crew, and Toru basically won't have it. And in seconds flat, he ends up quelling all of this, sort of little army of folks, bandits. And of course, we find out that this Julia, which is actually her name, this false Chaika, she and another member went to go basically on a thieving run, and she got snatched. She walked right into a trap, and this leaves Chaika feeling like, well, we made a promise. She was going to teach me this poem and all this stuff. We can't leave right now. And then of course she feels obligated to this girl to save her, and it's really down to Chaika. Even Toru gives her applause and tells the crew of bandits, once everything's done and they've saved this girl, Julia, to give Chaika the praise, because it was really down to her doing all this. And of course, seeing Chaika's smile and reaction to that was just, heartwarming and heart-melting. And of course then, Julia does teach this little poem, this little ditty that she knows about the Gaz Empire to Chaika as promised. And it, is really kind of heartwarming the way it all ends, with this group of bandits kind of understanding, we got to do something better in our lives. We got to come up with a new goal. Now, it does leave me half suspicious, though, that maybe they'll show up again at some point down the line, and there'll be another threat to perhaps Chaika and the crew. They'll realize, oh, wait a minute, there are powerful, relics to do with the Gaz Empire, and that girl that stopped over our town that one night, she knows something about it. Maybe we should take them down. You never know with this show how the background characters are going to go, what influence they're going to have on the rest of the story. And that's what brings me back to the bookends. Now, in the opening, we see that there's a silhouetted guy carrying daggers, very much, you might mistake him for Toru. And he's attacking a guard among all these other knights and everything like that. And we're not exactly sure what's going on with that until the very end of the episode, where we catch up with the Council of the Six Nations, who are still talking about this flying fortress that crashed, the Sawada. And I mentioned a couple episodes back in one of my reviews talking about it, that we were given this information for a purpose, and they're playing back on that in this episode very heavily by telling us in the Council of Six Nations that this guard that they sent to go reclaim the Sawada, this flying fortress, was returned to them murdered viciously. His body was brutalized, and so they feel like it's a mutiny against the Six Nations, and this has to play into a grand scheme, whether that's to do with reforming the Gaz Empire, as this group of bandits purported to be doing, but are not really, or is it, as I suspected, another alternative to be, a way of fending off a potential reformation of the Gaz Empire. It's going to be very intriguing to see. And of course, the footnote that I have to add with Gillette's people. You know, he's obsessed with finding something that he can uncover about the Gaz Empire, Arthur Gaz himself, but also the Chaikas, and he's coming up empty. And we basically see that Vivi, who is kind of romantically, you know, interested in him, is concerned for his well-being. And it's kind of cool that, you know, she and one of her friends actually asked Gillette out to have a bite to eat and everything like that, let their hair down. So we're seeing this group, you know, he's becoming sympathetic to the genuine Chaika, or at least the Chaika we're following's cause, that she actually doesn't want to create world havoc. She doesn't want to create world domination. And it's very interesting to me, all that. So otherwise, that'll be pretty much it for me on this, and I hope this video finds you well. I'll catch you all later. Peace.